After days of bombing Iranian targets, the U.S. has paused its air campaign. Iran has responded in kind, halting retaliatory strikes against American allies across the region. The Trump administration insists the pause is designed to open a window for talks. It is a familiar playbook. Washington ramps up military strikes to force concessions, while Tehran retaliates against American assets and regional allies. Iran has also tightened its grip on global energy shipping, using Houthi forces to choke off key maritime routes in the Bab al-Mandeb. While the temporary lull renews hope for talks, it may also signal mounting pressure on Washington. Reports indicate top officials, including Vice President J.D. Vance and Joint Chiefs Chairman General Dan Kane, have raised concerns of a runaway escalation. General Kane reportedly warned President Trump that a prolonged campaign could dangerously drain stocks of Patriot interceptors and regional air defenses. According to assessments by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, the United States has already used roughly one-third of its combined pre-war inventory of critical precision weapons during early fighting in Iran. These include THAAD, Patriot interceptors, as well as offensive missiles. Trump, however, dismissed those reports, insisting American stockpiles remain fully loaded. According to an Axios report, U.S. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper advised the White House that strikes around the Strait of Hormuz have largely met their military objectives, warning that further bombing would yield diminishing returns. At home, gas prices are climbing as the conflict jolts global energy markets, compounding persistent inflation and high interest rates. The Houthi blockade along critical Red Sea oil routes threatens to drive prices even higher. With less than 100 days until the U.S. midterm elections, domestic political heat is rising for Donald Trump. A conflict President Trump once predicted would last 4 to 5 weeks is now stretching into its 5th month. Explaining the administration's strategy, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Mike Waltz emphasized that while the president is creating space for diplomacy, American forces remain locked and loaded with all options on the table. Tehran says it will hold its fire as long as Washington does the same. However, senior Iranian sources also expressed skepticism, viewing Trump's pause as a tactical maneuver rather than a genuine shift in U.S. negotiating policy. We earlier spoke to Mr. Chris Doyle. He's a director of Council for Arab-British Understanding and West Asia analyst, and this is what he told us.
A game that's still being played as to how to move the talks into something more serious that actually leads to a final political agreement. I think the trouble is at the moment is that the tensions spill out. You get these pauses that last for maybe a week, 2 weeks, but then you get a resumption of hostilities, not to the same sort of extent as, for example, we saw in March, for sure. They are more calibrated, but it still is actually not bringing either side closer to a resolution to this. And the realistic scenario is that they both understand that this cannot continue like this forever. The United States can't afford to continue to exhaust supplies of its munitions. It can't afford the economic hit of all of this. And of course, as you said in your report, the American midterms are only 100 days away, but also for Iran. Also, if it wants to realize anything out of this conflict, it needs to be able to cash in some of the successes that it's had. It needs to get into reconstruction to obviously address the significant amount of damage that the US bombardment, the Israeli bombardment has meted out on Iran.